rounds, or could be 1 round, because
Potentially.
yeah, earlier what happened earlier? We had a problem, right? But we
Yeah.
cleared out everything with the organizers. It's actually a 1-0 score right now in the finals match for the battle between Nexus Esports versus Bloodlines. So that is in favor of Bloodlines.
Yes.
Apparently, Nexus Esports decided to surrender for some reason. And yeah, that is the current score. But let's introduce ourselves. By the way, guys, I'm Kaisaya, and I'm with
Arctic Service fan. And man, well, it's like we'll finally be able to continue right now. We're sorry for the delay, but nonetheless, at least
you were able to maybe have your dinner.
yeah. kung may tira-tira kayo dyan na gustong i-share, yeah, feel free. Come all the way to Makati.
Pwede
Yeah.
i-share. Looks like you're hungry.
Yeah. Ano yun, ipag-grab and then hatid dito, tapos bili ka dyan.
Well, anyway, guys, okay, we're just waiting for the players to
Yeah.
get ready inside the room with us there. But guys, again, I know you're watching currently on Twitch, but make sure to don't forget to follow MeSA Official. You just hit the heart button or your heart icon on top of the page, and they also have a Facebook page and YouTube channel as well, MeSA Official. So just one username, easy to understand. And for me and Arctic, if you want to follow us and get to know more about the other games that we play, for me, Kaisaya, I just have to go to my Facebook page, like it, as well as the YouTube channel, subscribe. The username is Kaisaya, and for my Twitch, it is Kaisaya.
Yes, and of course, if you want to check out more about Arctic, be sure to check out facebook.com/ArcticTheory. And of course, if you want to catch my stream, I'll be making a big comeback come 2018, twitch.tv/ArcticTheory.
Great. Alright. So, well, that was a pretty long break, but I'm sure I know you guys want to see what is going to happen next. Given that Nexus Esports actually surrendered for round 1, but, you know, if they want to win this finals match, they have to get 2 consecutive
True indeed, but we'll just have to see if they can make that comeback, potentially go for that reverse sweep, because of course, with that one with Bloodlines, just needs that last win to become the very first, crown themselves as the champion of Nexus First Arena Battle. First Blood. Sila nga bang maka-first blood? Tingnan natin as we head into the drafting phase.
Right.
Looks like we are waiting for the bans coming in from both Nexus Esports and Bloodlines. Of course, Nexus Esports will be taking the blue side, whilst Bloodlines on the red side.
Okay, we have here a Fennec ban for Nexus Esports, while meanwhile, we're waiting for the decision of Bloodlines where they're gonna ban. I wonder if they're gonna ban Violet in here.
That would actually be a sensible ban, but let's go ahead and talk about this Fennec ban first. So with Fennec, I mean, one of the things that I really like about him is, of course, first off, his stacking, which ultimately results to some pretty decent AoE damage if you get those full stacks through his auto attacks. And not to mention that, he's also quite the slippery little bugger because of the kit that he has, particularly through his ability Rolling Lightning. And pair that off with a Chain Hammer Cyclone, which also grants great CC plus tons of damage. But nonetheless, going into the picks here, Zephys as well. Again, Zephys looks like Bloodlines not wanting to deal with the trend that Zephys exhibited during the semifinals game that propelled Nexus Esports to the finals.
And we can see here, guys, for the first pick of Team Nexus Esports, they have their Violet, which was definitely, as you can see, was open. Meanwhile, so far for Bloodlines, they got here Slims and Malok, leaving a decision for Nexus Esports to pick Chognar and Ormar. We've always been seeing these tanks.
Always together, but looks like I like the preemptive move coming here from Nexus, rather from Bloodlines, rather from Nexus Esports. Seeing that Bloodlines has already took the Malok, not wanting to give any more of that powerhouse of a composition by pairing that within Ormar and Chognar. Going to be taking it away for themselves. Let's go ahead and see if it works overall with as far as the synergy of their composition. Meanwhile, it looks like Chognar as well as the Lubu going to be locked in for Nexus Esports, and we did see the response in, or rather, yeah, looks like we're also going to be seeing Alice and Lumber for the side of Bloodlines.
3 tanks for Nexus Esports so far in terms of their picks. Let's see who's going to be the last pick for Bloodlines.
Still waiting for that last pick right
there. It could be an assassin, or it could be... They need another damager in here, I think. Because, yeah, there we go. We have here Gina, and they locked it.
It's also, take note, guys, for Nexus Esports, if you're going to look at their draft, it's pretty much solid AD. The only form of ability power that they have is in the form of Leather on this Chognar. But then again, take note, that's a support tank. He's not really going to be dealing most of the damage if you're going to think of other elements like the Lubu and the Violet. So if Bloodlines is able to reach a point in the game wherein they straight up go equal in itemization, and if they build up on armor, especially the tankier targets like the Malok, like the Lumber, then I'm kind of worried for Nexus Esports here. But let's go ahead and run down the compositions here.
Alright, here on Team Nexus Esports, they have here Chognar, Ormar, Arthur, Lubu, and Violet.
And for the side of Bloodlines, we have the Alice, Malok, Slims, Lumber, and the Jinna, who will become victorious in our finals and become the first ever champion of MeSA's First Blood Arena of Valor tournament. We'll find out in just a bit as we head on to Antares Battlefield.
Just for the lineup, which one are you vouching for in here?
Well, like I mentioned, there's a pro and con when it comes to Nexus Esports composition. Like I mentioned, straight up damage here. Straight up physical damage. And what Nexus Esports wants to do, because even though they're straight up 80 damage, or 80 damage, that's kind of redundant, attack damage, but attack damage, even though that could be a problem in the later parts of the game once Bloodlines builds armor, the positive here at least is that if they could get things snowbally early on with their composition, then it also makes good work, because like we might have seen, the Violet is pretty good at dealing range damage, could be very, very painful if left unchecked, but looks like both sides will be spotting each other out.
We have a clash ongoing right now. We saw there actually Bloodlines just dived in, but looks like they're wanting to disengage now, and just, it appears they just check if the team will try to, steal any of their jungle, especially the Sage Golem buff or the red buff, Might buff.
That was pretty good. But nonetheless, of course, with each side spotting out each other, we won't be seeing any cheesy gangs towards other sides. But yeah, going back to my point here about the compositions, we talked about Nexus Esports. Let's go ahead and talk about Bloodlines here. It's very straightforward as well. What they want to do is go for these great engages wherein Gina could just go into the fights and deal massive damage. But then again, in order to do that, it has to be complemented with this Malok Initiate as well as the Lumber, together with CC coming in from Alice. And it's a bit trickier. Not exactly impossible, but if they had other elements like the Chognar and Ormar to complement this Malok, it would have been a bit more easier to go with this Gina. But because Nexus Esports made the proactive play to take it away from them, it doesn't necessarily make it hard, but it's less of a breeze than when you have an Ormar and a Chognar on your team.
We had there, guys, in the bottom lane, we saw there 3 members from Nexus Esports wanting to, try to gank the bottom lane, but I think it's going to be hard because of Alice and Lumber. But anyway, guys, here in the middle lane, we can see here a fight is ongoing. Kuroki and Leather both low, but there's a backup that came from inside place. Oh, that's the first blood by Peace Boy right over there, Arthur.
That's a very tricky thing when you're running Gina. I mean, like I mentioned, if you want to really utilize this champion as far as the AP damage that he can dish out, you want to make sure that you have a decent front line. But in that particular case, everybody's still trying to build up on itemization here. So even the tanks and the people that can bring the CC, they're not quite there yet. But looks like XDR has to be careful.
Alright, XDR was able to escape in there inside place. Thank you to the heal that came over there. But here we go, Kuroki. Oh, that is a kill by Gina. And inside place again. Oh, will this be another kill by Bloodlines? Okay, score right now is 1-3 in favor of Bloodlines. And anytime soon, it's possible for Bloodlines to go to the dragon in here. But, as you can see, Leather... it's actually Leather that is in the mid lane, right? quite unusual to see.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it.
Yeah. They are allowing Violet and other members of Nexus Esports to, jungle for the team instead.
I guess I can kind of see the logic there because with Violet, she could be left a little bit more vulnerable. And like you mentioned, it's not really uncommon in Arena of Valor to see marksman take the off-lane role. So to see Kuroki just kind of get a roam on. And technically, if you're going to look at how the laning goes, there's a lot of people that whenever Kuroki goes for a gank, enables Kuroki to potentially get fed should the gank be successful. I mean, like I mentioned, Ormar, the king of CC, I wouldn't say the king of CC, but has pretty solid CC all around. But oh no,
okay,
Leather!
Leather trying to escape 4 members from Bloodlines, and it is successful now. A backup is coming from Nexus Esports. They're trying to target here Limber initially, but they're backing up. And Arthur is still in the bottom lane, try to clear that lane.
Both sides trying to struggle for control over this Abyssal Dragon. This could potentially break out into a fight though, and that will be the case.
Alright, there's a lot of CC that just came from Bloodlines inside his place, just died. Pissboy is going to be the next in here. Vindicate left alone on the bottom lane, while Shognar is right in their middle lane, and allowing Bloodlines to steal or get this Abyssal Dragon, but will Vindicate try to,
Nope, that would be very dangerous. Not to mention the fact that
it's going to be a suicide in case he attempts to get that dragon.
3 for nothing, beautifully played by Bloodlines here, and I'm kind of worried for Nexus Esports at this point, because if they allow Bloodlines to continue to reap the rewards of their proactivity, then, like I mentioned, unless they can snowball, then they could ultimately get locked down if ever Bloodline starts building up on hefty armor for Nexus Esports to even get a dent on them. It's possible, but it's going to be so much of a struggle if they fall behind.
Right, okay. 3 members from Bloodlines on the top lane. I wonder if they're going to gank Lubu right over there, but it appears they just want to buff right over there. And here we have Leather hiding earlier in the bush.
This
score right now is 1-6 in favor of Bloodlines, and the gold lead is on their side as well.
Oh no, meanwhile, looks like Nexus Esports is trying to look for means to go for proactive plays. And even with the 1-6 standing, all is not really lost. I'm actually surprised that if you're going to look at the goal difference, it's not really that huge, only leaning towards 600. And I think I have to attribute it by the fact that Nexus Esports, again, it's the macro talking here. Even though the kills aren't necessarily in their favor, they heavily make up for it by making sure that they clear out camps and minion waves, pushing in on lanes respectively.
Right, and Nexus Esports actually just took down the bottom turret of Bloodlines in there. Okay, looks like they're waiting. We're waiting for a clash in here. We can see their 1-5 actually just dived in, and a clash is now happening in Zai place. Just died using, oh my goodness. We have here Kuroki trying to escape, as well as Leather. Okay, anytime soon. I wonder if they will be able to take down the mid turret in here. But it looks like they are disengaging right now. We can see their Malak going to the top turret. But you can see there at the bottom lane, Lubu, once again, is pushing the lane all alone.
Very classic.
And Bloodlines is, trying to get that Lubu. I wonder if they will be able to get him.
Potentially.
It's too late.
But yeah, overall though, I like how Nexus Esports' mindset is going into this game. They're not allowing that heavy kill of a deficit phase them in any way. And if anything, look at the levels even. They're not really falling behind with the exception of Inzai maybe on this Ormar. But then again, he can afford it because the prime thing here is that Nexus Esports at least needs their primary carries to be ahead so that in the event they can't go for full-on clashes. Like we saw earlier, Lubu can split push, Kuroki on this Violet can split push. There's so many options here. They don't necessarily need to force fights in a way.
Okay, Gina is currently in a dangerous position, almost down there, but thanks to the backup of 1-5, as well as the incoming heal in there, still a fight is ongoing. It's currently a 4 versus 3 right now here in the middle lane. Another backup is coming from Bloodlines from the top lane, which is Malak. Gonna dive in soon in the turret. There we go. Kuroki is down thanks to the ultimate of XDR in Zai place, living alone in there. Now, but still, look at that.
Yeah.
Bottom lane, guys, Vindicate doing his job in pushing.
Yeah, and I think this is something that Nexus Esports excels at. Like I mentioned, I've continuously been saying a con that as far as Nexus Esports, one weakness that they have is Bloodlines building up armor, but the silver lining, of course, is the pro, wherein Bloodlines, they don't have the same heavy siege potential that Nexus Esports has. And with Nexus Esports having AD across the board, they have that potential to, whenever Bloodlines is group up, hey, why not just ignore them and just split push elsewhere? And it's working effectively for them. It's worked effectively for them in the quarters, semis, and now heading into the finals. Looks like they're going to be sticking to that same macro play.
Let's see here. Currently, Bloodlines is trying to defend their top turret. Looks like they want another push to happen in this lane. Four members from Nexus Esports gathering together. Looks like, I wonder if they want to engage in a clash here. Current score is 1-8 in favor of Bloodlines, with a gold lead, just a little gold lead in here by Bloodlines as well. Okay, we saw there 1-5 actually dived in, as well as Malak. Peace Boy going low. Let's see the backup that will happen, or that will be done by Inzai as well as Leather. Now they're trying to disengage, but apparently they're having a hard time because of the CCs. Inzai plays currently being CC'd so much. XDR killed another member of Nexus Esports in there, and looks like they want to push the mid turret in here, but they're lacking minions right now to help them.
Yes, and in the midst of everything, Nexus Esports still great trade by going for the Abyssal Dragon. At least they did suffer 2 casualties, but hey, it's better than not trading anything at all.
Right.
And
it's a small gold lead in here by Bloodlines. Okay, we can see here Bloodlines hiding in the bushes. I wonder if they're gonna go for a Leather, but you know, there's a lot of Nexus Esports heroes in here.
oh no.
Okay, Kuraki doing some damage. There we go, a dive by Malak here. Okay, another stun and crowd control that came from Bloodlines right over there. Okay, it looks like now this time there's no push. I thought I'll see another Lubu trying to push another lane while the other members are actually having a clash.
And meanwhile, looks like, yeah, it's kind of caught in a tight place there, but here comes Itch to help relieve things. Man, this fight is quite scattered.
You're right. Like, you want to look at the map on the upper left side, but something else is happening on the bottom right side as well. Okay, we have here now Bloodlines going back on jungling, and maybe try to get more items for them to be able to clash or, you know, overpower against Nexus Esports.
Man, meanwhile, let's go ahead and see what's happening here. I like how Nexus Esports still pressuring across lanes, making sure, and this is a strategy that they've been sticking with constantly, and I think that's the beauty of Arena Valor here still, because of how fast-paced this game is. There's a lot that macro can also do aside from just the micro. And overall, if Bloodlines isn't able to respond correctly to all the pressure coming in from Nexus Esports across lanes, then this is going to be another scenario where, even though they have a hefty lead, if they can't close the game, then it just allows Nexus Esports to go for these split pushes, and we might reach a point where it becomes another base race, and that's something that Bloodlines cannot afford, considering that they're at a disadvantage when it comes to shoving out and sieging turrets.
And we can see here, guys, Darkslayer has been taken down by Bloodlines. Meanwhile, Nexus Esports just tried to actually clear the bottom lane as well as the middle lane. And now we can see Nexus Esports going for the Abyssal Dragon. I wonder if Bloodlines gonna let that happen. But yeah, it looks like Abyssal Dragon was stolen by Bloodlines in here, giving them a larger gap.
But then again, we have seen scenarios wherein even with Nexus Esports behind by the thousands, because of their macro play, because of how well they're able to pressure across lanes and shove them out, it forces their enemy into a position wherein, even though they play well as a team, even though the synergy 5v5 works well, force them into a position wherein they have to separate. But looks like Bloodline's not getting phased by it at all.
Another turret is down on the side of Nexus Esports, and it looks like Bloodlines want to end this soon. Let's see. The turret has been taken down again by Bloodlines in here.
No!
Mid lane now is so open, and base is here anytime soon. This game's gonna end. Looks like, are we gonna have a champion now?
Are we indeed?
Bloodlines didn't have enough, minions in there to support them, and apparently the tanks is having a hard time tanking the damage from the base. So score right now is 116 in favor of Bloodlines.
This is really insane.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so chill lang guys. Abangan sa susunod na kabanata ng Dragon Ball Z. Mananalo ba ang
Okay.
Bloodlines?
We can
Abangan
see
natin.
here, guys. I fast forward.
Oh!
Congratulations to Bloodlines for being the first champion for MeSA's Arena Valor First Blood tournament.
Very well played indeed. Congratulations, Bloodlines. And
2-0
well played.
once
Yeah,
again.
2-0. It's just a full slot. Let's go ahead and check out the stats here. XDR MVP of this game. And
No death.
this is unfortunate right here. I mean, you could look at the scores here. Everybody might be thinking, parang sobrang tambak yung nangyari.
Yeah.
I think it's not really as tambak as it seems.
Because I
And
think Nexus actually tried to focus on pushing
Yeah,
the
again,
lanes
the
and
macro, yeah.
defending their turrets instead of, going for getting more kills.
I think it ultimately comes down to Nexus Esports. They could have at least gone for at least maybe one form of AP, I think, but I can't really tell because across the board, what I feel that what was good about Nexus Esports in one of their previous drafts is that they had that balance. But then again, since everything was so straightforward, sure, they could still continue to go for these split push configurations, but it will come to a point pa rin kasi na kailangan nilang makipagpakbakan sa kanila. Without that AP, I feel like that could have deterred them a little.
Right, and Gina was actually good in terms of positioning himself in a game. I saw him hiding in the bushes, surprising the enemy team with his damage. So yeah, I think it's a great gameplay by Team Bloodline.
Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, congratulations once again.
Congratulations! You guys are part of the history of MeSA's, not only MeSA, but of course the whole history of because
Arena Valor,
Valor
yeah.
just came out this year, and you're now part of the mobile esports scene.
Yeah.
Generally.
I think you could ultimately consider this in a way as not even amateur. You could almost consider this as semi-pro. But yeah, of course, before we head out, we'd like to invite everybody to, of course, follow MeSA on Facebook. That is facebook.com/MeSAofficial. If you want more of their awesome content, be sure to check them out at youtube.com/MeSAofficial. And of course, from where you're watching here right now on Twitch, be sure to drop a follow for more tournaments broadcasted directly to you guys in the future.
Or if you can even subscribe, do subscribe.
Oh yeah, that would definitely be helpful. And
Yes.
of course, before we sign out, we'll be introducing ourselves once again. A quick vlog. Kaisai, I guess.
Hello guys, again I'm Kaisaya, your shoutcaster, one of your shoutcasters for tonight's event. Of course, if you want to know more about me or what I'm doing in this gaming industry, just hit me or just follow me on Facebook and YouTube. My username is Kaisaya, and on Twitch it's Kaisaya P.
And of course, you could also check me out as well for more updates on your boy Arctic. Facebook.com/Arctic Theory. If you want to check me out during my stream, we'll be a heavy year ahead 2018. Twitch.tv/Arctic Theory. And of course, I guess on behalf of the production, we'd like to thank all the teams that have joined the tournament. And of course, I guess the both of us would like to thank MeSA as well for the awesome opportunity. Yes, for having us. And hopefully more tournaments in the future, not just for AOV, but it's going to be a big year for mobile gaming esports in 2018. So I guess we'll be signing off for now. Once again, this has been Arctic.